Okay, I think it's
it's Sunday the 7th of March 2021. I'm joined today by a group of friends, and kindly Mark Horn has agreed to join us so that we can actually ask questions directly to him to assist people on their journey to serving cease and desist papers out to the amount of atrocities being caused out there by people who actually don't understand the law and people who are enforcing it in a way that is actually causing harm to the people that they're supposed to be protecting. So we're going to try and keep this video today brief and direct to the point. It's not an introduction session or an interview. It's quite simply anyone who has a question whatsoever that they wish to ask Mark regarding how they can be involved and be active out there doing their little bit. So thanks for doing this, Mark. I'm going to start with a question first of all. If people are wanting to attend a peaceful protest and they find that when they attend that peaceful protest, there is a number of police there and those police start to approach them, what do you suggest that we do?
Okay, the first thing is that people must realize absolutely everything starts with a breach of peace of your mind. Okay. When I mentioned the king's peace, Kate didn't know what it meant, but in the olden days, the king used to go around the country and send his boys ahead to make sure that it was peaceful by the time we got there. But we're all equal under the law, nobody's above the law. And the reason we join together in society is to control the ravages of man, the destructive side of man, to minimize the destructive forces, the risks that we have to face in nature anyway. So it starts in cease and desist. Everything starts with a breach of peace. And in the notices, it's got about the breach of peace. You got to remember, a breach of peace in the common law is a trespass. And so everything essentially is a trespass, and you don't need to worry about going into more technical language than that. So basically a breach of peace, there's three ways that you can have a breach of peace. The first one is if somebody has been harmed. So you see a lot of people saying, oh, where's the harmed party? All right. So that's an obvious question. If there's no harm, then there's no remedy required. I'll just quickly give you the fundamentals of the equity. Basically, equity acts in personam, i.e. on living people, and equity will not suffer a wrong without a remedy. And that's simple language which everybody can understand. And the common law one is do no harm, blah, blah, blah. So if there's no harm, then why is somebody breaching your peace? So at a protest, or what was the word that we were saying today, Glenn? Because we've got to stop using the word protest. It's not a protest. Mute.
What we suggested, because as we were saying, Mark, at the end of the day now, this is not about us being sly or coy. It's about making life simple for ourselves. Yeah. Rather than the organizers of any event, whether that might be an individual or whether it may be a current platform of a group of people, they may be Saving Scotland or UK Truth Seekers or Stand Up X, it might be anybody they wish to go to a protest. Our suggestion is that we actually call this a meeting of minds. So therefore, we're actually teaching them a lesson just by the fact of saying, yes, we've organized a meeting of minds. Now, that will make them question, first of all, what on earth does that mean? Because the majority of enforcement officers wouldn't understand what a meeting of minds means. Is that correct, Mark?
Yeah. No, I just couldn't remember but that's exactly it. Because a lot is in the words, okay? Like Lynn said, common law, common people. It's not common law. It's law in common. So it's the way that we use these words. So if there's no harmed party, why are the police there? The next reason you can have a breach of peace is if somebody believes that there's going to be a breach of peace, that somebody's intending to cause harm. And so we've got the case law. We're all familiar with Nuremberg trials that order following is not lawful excuse. I've found the English case law for that. And what it very specifically goes into in that judgment, and this is why, you know, not many people read judgments. I do. I'm a boring old fart, but it just actually interests me. What it says in the judgment and makes absolutely clear in there is that before they interfere with you, they must have reasonable grounds. So if the police are there before a protest, it's an impossibility that they've got reasonable grounds. Before they come up to you, they need reasonable grounds to ask you for your name. If they haven't got reasonable grounds, there's absolutely no reason to give them your name lawfully. So it's by turning simple things like that around. Another thing is that in London, when they had the protests, you got all these police coming out with their helmets and shields and batons. Sorry, that there is not very friendly human behavior. And if anybody is going to breach the peace, they're threatening and intimidating. So that's where you go and give them a cease and desist order. Guys, get the hell out of here. You know, this is peaceful here. You guys are threatening and intimidating. When police, what they do is, and on the video Glenn and I made today, we went through the Holyrood video, one of them that was posted yesterday. Basically, they cannot touch you. They cannot use any force unless it appears that you're going to be resisting arrest. So it's, whoa, I'm under duress, you're acting unlawfully, don't touch me. And then if they do, then again, we've got a court action that's possible. Your cameras, your phones, if they haven't...
Mark, can I just interject there? I know that while you're talking, you're not looking, but I'm actually watching the party going on down at the bottom of my screen, and someone's just put their finger up, called Kim. So if you can allow people, if someone raises their hand, maybe you can actually just allow...
I really, yeah.
Yeah, so yes, Kim, do you want to just jump in at that point?
Yeah, cool. Mark, thank you so much for all the information that you're able to give us. I'm just wondering that in that instance, when you are stood at a protest and you are completely there for a peaceful protest and the police do approach you, which they did, we didn't get arrested, which was great, but lots of people did. So even though I might be saying, I'm not giving you my name because I don't lawfully have to, when they're then saying, right, you're under arrest, what do we do then?
Okay, if we just start at the beginning, okay, what do you do? I haven't met you, Kim, okay? What would you do? Hi, I'm Mark. Who are you?
So, go on. So in that particular instance, I knew what was happening. I could see that the police were coming in, and I could see what was going to happen. People were going to be getting arrested. So I did
really violently, which they did.
They did. Yeah. So I did what they asked and moved out of the way.
Yeah.
There was lots of other people that were saying, why are you asking us to move? Because we're not doing anything. We're within our rights to have a protest.
Mark, can I just jump in here, Kim, because there's a couple of things I want to run by, because I know that you guys have not seen the videos Marcus and I have just done recently. Just to give you a quick overview, because I think you guys know I've attended many protests, and I've made a call of judgment sometimes not to intervene, due to the fact that I know that the police are being very much aware of who I am. I deliberately go out with a body camera on and I have my smiley badge on. So it's quite obvious who I am. And obviously I've spoken a number of times in public. I've spoken at Edinburgh in 2 or 3, 4 locations. I spoke at Glasgow. So we are known people. So just to go back to give this little bit of structure for you, Kim, and I'm sure that you'll appreciate this. The work we've done so far is Mark and I have created 6 videos which are up online. 3 was called Law. The following 3 were called How to Take It to Them. But if everyone's a little bit patient for today, the last 6 videos that we've made have all been based on equity. And the final 2 or 3 videos have given people that confidence, or should generate the confidence. So I know that it's a lot to say to someone, can you give 3 hours of your time to study the videos that we've done? But those people like yourself, who I know are keen to become, to take it to them, it's really worth you doing that. So the videos that come up today, I can assure everyone that if you watch even the last 6 videos that Mark and I have done, we did, I think we did
start with the last 6, because that's zoned in.
Start with the 6 that we're going to upload tonight, and then once you've watched those 6, if you've got time, you can go back and re-watch the first 6 that we put on. Now, so far to date, just so everyone's aware of this, so there was the 6 core videos, the law and taking it to them, but the current 6 videos are called Equity, part 1 through to part 6. And there's some very interesting information in there. And I can assure you, even if you are not interested in law, you cannot find these videos nothing other than interesting, because Mark puts it across in such a way that you will understand what you're doing. Now, we've also uploaded on the other website, which everything we post now will give links to the work that's been done so far. So if we talk on a subject, we'll say, can you refer that back to the paperwork and the notice we've uploaded? It's page number 6, article number 27 or something like that. So we'll give you links into it. And Mark's also done a few PowerPoint presentations.
Yeah, but what I'm a complete integrated package now, in effect, where we're getting the paperwork with the videos, with the presentations. They all run into one together. And certainly within 3 hours, you'll have a bloody good idea of what's going on.
But to just to answer your question directly, Kim, the reason why I've put this first question to Mark about, let's call it people who are out allegedly protesting, let's call it a meeting of minds, is let's just quickly run through the 2 scenarios, whether you are proactively approaching the police or whether you are reacting to them approaching you, because both of them are slightly different. So I will tell you the way that I would do it personally, and it would always be proactive. So let's start with there, because that's really what we should be doing. So let me talk you through an event. Now, Mark and I have talked over the recent Holyrood event, which you'll see in video number 5 or number 6. But let's actually just talk through that now. And you're going to have to bear with me, because every time I actually suggest something, I don't know what the response is going to be. So I'm going to talk you through the scenarios first of all. So I'll tell you what I would do. So first of all is that if I was attending an event, for want of a better word, and let's imagine that I was the very first person to attend Holyrood, and there was someone, and they actually put a post on there. And what they said was, I think people were gathering at 12:30 for the speakers to start at 1 o'clock, but someone made a post around about 12:10 or 12:15 saying, I'm already here, and there's already quite a large police presence. Well, we know why that is. The police are aware of when people are going to gather. So they obviously deciding that they're going to be there because they don't want a gathering, because allegedly this is against the law, which it is not. So this is what I would do. So if I was that person there alone at 12:15, I'd immediately walk up to a police van or to a group of police officers that were actually out in the field. I'd say, good morning or good afternoon. If it's 12:20, of course, I'd probably be awake. I'd say, good afternoon, my name's Glyn. And yep, I'm just saying, how can we help you? I'd just say, well, I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Glyn, and I've got some questions I'd like to ask you about your presence here at this particular location. Well, my name's Officer blah, blah, blah. I said, well, I didn't ask that. I said, I'm introducing myself as Glyn. Can I ask your name? No, I'm not giving you my name. Well, that's twice I've asked you for your name. So therefore, you're not prepared to speak to me as a man. You're speaking to me in your position and this is what I would say as an actor, you are here today wearing a uniform, acting out a part. So I'm going to ask you for the third time now. This is the third time I request you to give me your name. No, I am not. In that case, I am no longer speaking to a man. I'm speaking to an actor. As an actor, I'm asking you, are you here today under oath? And they will not answer you. Now, what they should say is, yes, I am. I'll say, well, oh, that's great. Well, now that you're acting under oath, then I will take a different tact. If they refuse to say I'm here under oath, I will say to them, I am sure that you are aware that today there is going to be a meeting of minds. There are people that's going to be gathering together in a peaceful format who wish to join together to have conversations about the current state of tyranny, the current state of unlawful lockdown. So I am asking you why, if I am here alone, because I'm going to be part of this meeting of minds, why is there such a large turnout of the police? So I actually find this turnout in numbers of you an act of aggression. So I would ask and suggest this to you. You all have police radios. You've all got your equipment, batons, net sprays, whatever you have got. I would suggest that with the exception of 2 local police officers, that the rest of you just go and disperse. Now, they're going to turn around and say, no. I'm going to say, well, why is it that you're here? Are you assuming that this gathering is going to be anything other than a peaceful gathering? Because that's already what you're suggesting. You are actually anticipating that people of this meeting of minds are going to act in an unlawful way. I can assure you that the chances of that is not going to happen, because you people have actually turned up at the last 24 events in this location, and not one single person has ever acted in a form of aggression. So I don't really think that your plan of being here is anything other than an act of aggression towards those people. However, you have radios, so I suggest that you actually cease and desist what you're actually here for already and go away. And if there is any form of activity that you're not happy with, is you can quite easily get on your radio and call for help. So that's what I would say to them. Now, you know this is going to escalate into, who are you? I can say to them, well, I've already given you my name. My name is Glyn. I am a man. I'm a human being. I'm a sovereign being. And I'm here within my inalienable rights to do whatever I wish. I've given you. Well, can I take your full name and your address? No, you cannot. Well, I'm asking you for your name and your address. Well, I refuse to give them to you. Well, I am now going to arrest you because you're not supposed to be here. I'm assuming that you're more than 5 miles from your home. I'll say to them, it's none of your business what I'm doing here. And by the way, you are now getting far too close to me. So first of all, remove yourself from my close proximity. If you wish to speak to me, step back at least 2 or 3 yards, because I'm now finding your attitude one of aggression. So the chances are he will not do that. Now, this is where there are so many permutations. Now, we're actually going to put together a group of people, and we're going to go to these events and start taking it to them. And what I will say to them is I'm going to give you another opportunity. If you do not remove yourself from my local vicinity, I'm going to arrest you for unlawful and aggressive behavior. I'm going to arrest you. Right. So now, all of the things that I am saying are going to put all of these so-called police officers into a state of shock. So I'm then going to turn around and say to them again, you refuse to give me your name. You're not confirming to me that you're acting under oath. I find your attitude personally and the people around you to be quite aggressive and unsettling and unnerving. So I'm asking you now to actually remove yourself from your presence. And if you take any further action towards me, I'm actually going to ask these people here to assist me to actually remove you. What do you say to that? So now that is obviously us taking it to them. And I would always do that on every single occasion, because I can tell you now that's exactly what their setup is. Any public gathering prior to lockdown was actually done on the basis that they thought, well, we've got nothing to do here. We're just going to stand around. But the minute that obviously they were told that you're in lockdown, they are now operating under this unlawful act or legislation to state you are not allowed to be here. You must give me your name and address. You must tell me why you're here. You must confirm that you're not exercising more than an hour 5 miles from your current location. I'm sorry, that is absolute bullshit. I can do what I want when I want. Nothing that you are doing is lawful. In fact, the way that your attitude and approach is actually making you act unlawfully. So that's what I would do. Now, just to turn that back round to a reactive point of view, Kim, is if the police approach you, you can say exactly the same thing. Excuse me, madam, can I ask you what you're doing here? Well, you can ask me, but I'm not going to tell you unless you introduce yourself to me first of all. Hello, I'm Kim. What's your name? So you immediately take everything that they say to you, you throw it back at them. Can I ask you what you're doing here? Well, you can ask me, but you have got no rights for me to, there's no rights upon me to actually answer that question. However, I'm a peaceful person. I'm a pleasant person. I will not treat you any different to any other fellow human being. Can I ask you for your name? And they'll say no. So that's how you always start. When they approach you, can I ask you for your name? No. And even offer your hand. You know, nice to meet you today, Mr. Actor. And so you always pass it straight back to them. Well, no, I'm going to give you
at one of the protests, Glenn, and they just wouldn't
no, I know.
take
Well,
my hand.
But what you're doing, Kim, one thing that you're doing is by doing that, you are eroding their authority over you. You're putting them onto a back foot.
And just to confirm, Kim, I can assure you, anything that I have just said to you right now, they will reject all of it. They will not give you your name. They will continue to act in an aggressive manner. What I'm saying to you, this is why we've got to get people like you. And I know you've got it already. I can tell that from your nature. The minute that you watch the 6 videos from Mark, and I know even Ro will feel the same way, and Kate, I don't know Sam well enough to say so, is that we all have, by nature, the people who are here present today, let's call it assertiveness. You know, we are not aggressive people, we're assertive people, and we have the rights to exercise our right and stand up for our rights. Now, if you think about how we've shown that for the last 14, 15 months, we have been kind, caring, genuine people that we are, that the way that we've been as people, that doesn't mean that we're going to be trampled all over. So by understanding the way that Mark has put these videos together to teach people to say, I'm here today assertively to stand for my rights. So I can assure you, when I talk to police officers, my attitude doesn't change, but I am quite assertive in the way I speak to them. I'm just like, well, I mean, I don't know if you saw the video that I did up in the meadows in Edinburgh. I was incredibly calm and peaceful.
That there shows you exactly what Glenn's talking about. He intervened with the police who was hassling a guy with his boombox. And Glenn just walked up to the guy, put his hand out. Hi, I'm Glenn. Just like you've said, the guy withdrew his hand, but he did more than withdraw his hands. He withdrew his whole body. Okay. And so the approach in that, it's really important, but it's about undermining their authority. They come there thinking they have authority, but if you've got 10 tools where you can attack their authority, okay, because one thing that Glenn didn't say there, basically, if by them not giving you their name, you can turn around to them and said, after the 3rd time they don't give you their name, you'd simply turn around to them and say, hey, listen, the binding precedence is the commissioner of whichever police versus Raissi, 2008 from the Court of Appeal. And that makes it absolutely clear. To me, you've given me cause to believe that you don't believe your orders are lawful because you're too scared to give me your name. So with a few things like this, you constantly undermining them. And they'll pick the weak ones, okay? You were saying about them making arrests. They'll sit there and look, who's the weak one, okay? So we need to start doing that to them. Okay, who's the weak one? Get fair on their own, things like that.
I think to add to that, Mark, we've actually seen that, haven't we? At the end of, even though the protests that I've attended in Scotland have actually been small in number, if there was a great number, the police don't intervene. And let's just do this and look at that. So when I actually was involved in the march from Holyrood to Bute House, there was probably something like 100 protesters and about 80 police. So, you know, they were expecting some sort of what they might consider to be a protest, of which there was not, and there never would be, because none of the people that's involved in any of these meetings of the mind are aggressive people. They're just standing up for their rights. But as Mark says as well there, they will pick on innocent people. They'll look for an opportunity just to make a stand. They also have professional photographers there that's ready to capture that moment. We've seen all that as well. But I think the most important thing, as you were saying there, Mark, is that by just doing and reiterating what I've just said to you before, the minute that you actually start to speak from a position of authority, not aggression yourself, you will see immediately that they back off, because they first of all realize, hang on, who's this guy that's actually preaching the law to me? You know, they're just like, so you immediately back foot them. And what I'm saying to you is, and this is, we'll finish off with one other thing while we're on this subject, which is, if they do then decide to arrest you, you still do the same thing. Yeah. Now, look at the video. If you look at the video that I did at Morrison's, I actually, where I searched even this notice on those, is what I was actually saying to the guy is that I am within my rights within your store. This store is a public place. I know the law. You may own the building, but it is classed as a public place because you give access to the general public. Yeah. However, he said to me, you cannot video here. Just as they said to me when I went to the COVID test station, you cannot video here. I said, well, I can, because the COVID test station and Morrison's and Tesco are public places. I am free to do anything that I like. I am not causing anybody any harm. And if you want to be sarcastic, you can say to them, I don't remember asking you for your permission to film me on your CCTV cameras, do I? So, you know, you can use all of those things, Kim. Now, the final thing, which is most important, what I'm saying to you is, in Morrison's, the guy said, I've told you that you cannot have a camera in here. So rather than argue, I went, that's fine, let's talk outside. Always be the person that takes the backward step. We're not being aggressive, we're being assertive. And the same applies, like Mark said. If a police officer then says, after everything that you've said, I am now going to arrest you for a breach of the peace, you can say to him, okay, I have no choice in the matter. So now that's not going to happen to me, because the people who are with me is going to arrest the policeman anyway. However, if it was a normal, let's call it an average person that's trying to do this, the first thing you do, put your hands in the air and say, okay. And what that's actually done is, what's that saying to that person is, you've said to me you're going to arrest me, and I know you're going to arrest me now, therefore I raise my hands. By doing that, they cannot force your hands behind your back, because you've actually almost said, I'm going to come with you peacefully. I'll let Mark add to that, and then I think Sam wants to jump in. And
yeah, if Sam jumps in.
Do you want to jump in, Sam, there?
Yeah. We did some work when we were running tribal love community unity gatherings, and we had something called the community press group, which was the police, and they were ex-police helping us to work to get our point across to the police. And they gave us cards out that said we can film, it's perfectly legal to film, nobody can stop us filming, that were actually from the community press group, which is a group of policemen. Now, something that will sound completely mad to some of you, maybe you might not have heard of it, Kim, but something we've done at Richmond Square, when we've done what I wouldn't call a protest, I'd call it an educational attendance. Yeah. We've got some double-ended terminators in a box, and we pass them around the group, and we all put the healing energy on the double-ended terminators. We put our love into the banner. We all hold together, and then we put the terminators in the ground with the intention of raising joy and peace in that place. And I found that I had somebody walking past being absolutely abusive, a number of people walking off, nobody taking any notes when we first turned up. As soon as we put these terminators in and changed the energy and frequency, we had 2,000 people come and take leaflets off us, including the police officers who took their hats off and wanted to know about chemtrails. So it changed the energy completely. So I know it sounds a bit off at a tangent, but I think there's a use for that sort of group energizing and positive energy.
That's why it's so important to treat them with respect. When you need to accept that they're at a different stage of understanding. They don't know the law either. They're just you know, whipping at whatever their boss tells them to do.
You can tell that they're just doing what they're told. They're just completely repeating the narrative over and over and over again of what they've been told to say.
But
I think there's a mixture here, Kim, as well. And I think this is just, and I'm going to tie this in with what Sam's just said there. What we are doing is we are the strong ones. We are the knowledgeable ones, but we are the calm ones. So unlike them, by us using our knowledge and our love and our understanding, what we're saying is, hey, look, and you've seen this on other videos, people have said, I know you're only here to do your job. It's a shame you don't know how to do your job correctly. Obviously, we can't say that, it's sarcastic, but I think this is the point. By us being the strong people who are saying that we are the ones that's being subjected to your tyranny, and yet still we stand here today peacefully and calmly to really re-educate you in what you're doing. And, you know, like Sam has said there, is these people will be shocked. Imagine that we started talking to these people about the Earth's vibration. Imagine that we talked to them about EMF, they wouldn't get it. Imagine that we explained to them the power of crystals and the power of, you know, Reiki healing at a distance. It'd be like going, oh my God, we've got a bunch of new age fruit bats here today. And so you don't do that. Now, what Sam is saying is that she didn't tell them anything. She actually just showed them. So what she was saying is that, and this is what we can do. So it's not just in our words, it's in our actions of showing people that we are calm, loving people. If we weren't, we wouldn't be here doing what we're doing today. Back over to you, Mark.
Yeah, and this is where this notice and the way that it works, okay, it's actually a lot longer than it needs to be, but the point is that it educates anybody that reads it. So you can read it, it'll educate you, and when they get it, they can read it and it'll educate them. Because honestly, the way that I see it, and certainly what I saw in Kirby Misbeaten, and I spent a huge amount of time talking to the police, and everybody will tell you, never talk to the police. I tell you, on their own, they spend hours talking. I spent hours talking to them, and individually, they are just like you and me. They're looking to put bread on the table. They want to pay their bills, and they're scared if they don't follow orders, there'll be somebody else that comes and takes their place. So it really, really does make a difference. If we get the information correct, we can actually force it in the courts. Okay, Becky, I can think you might be putting your hand up there.
Hi. Oh, hi, Kate. It's lovely to see you. Okay, so I'm really impatient, and I'm going to watch the 6 videos that you're going to put forward. I'm on a limited time because Kim is like 60 miles away from me. And I don't know if you shared the video with anyone else that I did when I went into Asda.
No.
What I want to know is like what I know I did like bits of whatever wrong, but like I am sick to death now of sitting on my arse, and I want to get out there and start serving papers.
Yeah.
I'm massively impatient. So I've got the general gist of bits, but it's like the 2 people that I approached in Asda, with your help, can I still follow that specific one up, or should we just go out again?
It's always more difficult to recover, which is why I've been, certainly I've been trying to make sure that the material I put out, I don't want anybody to go there without the knowledge, because the knowledge is what gives you the confidence. Honestly, Becky, spend tomorrow just going through the paperwork, go through, watch the videos, and then we can have a yak. But with what you can learn in one day with this will give you so much confidence. And the thing is, what are we really after is we can't beat them with physical violence, okay? They will arrest us and that. However, we need to get that message across. We're going to have you guys in court and sue you.
And that's my next question. So when the papers, after the third time and the papers have actually been served, like, is there a real possibility then that these people are going to actually end up in court?
Absolutely. And that's why I spent so much time to get the papers correct. Because
Right.
the way the papers are, that's 80% of the court work done.
Brilliant.
With minimal,
Yes.
with minimal additional work. I mean, you can ask Kate, I've wasted a lot of money in courts and bringing cases and losing and stuff like that, but I've learned shitloads. So I mean, this barrister that phoned me 2 or 3 days ago, whenever it was, okay, she said she will be going to her client to see if she can get a settlement. So, you know, I'm pretty damn confident now with what I do. And I even thanked her and said, thank God you barristers can only beat me with lying, because that's how they beat me in court before. And she took offense at that. But yes, Kim, this is going to court. And the reason it needs to go to court, okay, is we need to get, okay, the idea is the nice guys we let off, but it's actually the bosses that we're after. So for instance, at ASDA, the guy that got, the security guard that took Lina, he's approached us already, and we've told him we will bring a case on his behalf for getting sacked. They sacked him because they let Lina up. That's not the person we're after. We are.
If I can just jump in there, Mark, because I put my hand up 3 times, you just totally ignore me, but that's the norm. I won't hold it against you. Just 3 comments I wanted to make back to Kim. Other than confirming what Mark has said, I can assure you that this is not a waste of time. All of these will be followed through. We're going to serve the second notice on, it's Morrison's, not Asda, by the way. He's tired, is Mark. We are going to serve the second notice on Morrison's tomorrow. But just to go back to confirm the question that, well, it's not come from Kim, actually, it's come from Becky, is there's three things I would say to people here. We've done this recording today for the good of all, because we're going to share this video so that other people can see it. Don't think that this is the end today. This is just the beginning. You know, let's have everybody meeting on a regular basis. You can call me or Mark anytime. Any support we can give you, even if that includes attending or joining you to either go on protests or to serve and to serve the papers, you know, come out and do that with you. One point that Mark made there, don't forget, is that any institution you go to, this notice is a notice to agent, is also a notice to principal. So when you serve Asda or Tesco's, whatever you're serving, that individual within that store will then follow that through to the CEO of that organization. I'm wary of time on this recording today, so I suggest that we arrange a group meeting over the course of this week where we can actually get together and have an informal chat and really get to know each other. But as this video is going to be shared across our normal platforms so people can see the sort of questions that we're asking, has anybody got a particular question now that they need answering right now to allow them to go about their way? And if so, ask it now. And if not, we'll bring this particular meeting, or certainly stop the recording, and we can have a little private chat afterwards. So Kate went put her hand up first, Ro. So I'm going to let Kate ask her question first, and then jump back over to Ro. Kate, over to you.
Okay, I don't need to know this to go about my business, but okay, so we've spoken about serving papers on the supermarkets, and we've spoken about getting the police to back off. Now, these notices that we're serving, and okay, do we serve these papers also on the police? Mm-hmm. And, you know, can they, you know, how does this, would this work in the situation of the schools, for example? You know, how uniform is this paperwork?
Basically, it covers anybody that is asking you to comply with their command in respect of anything to do with COVID-19. So it covers anything to do with COVID-19. as soon as somebody walks up to you, or you know somebody is implementing regulations or guidance or law or whatever they want to call it, okay, you can serve the paperwork.
Okay, now actually, because we spoke, I mean, the situations you've discussed have been in supermarkets and gatherings in parks, which are public places, or at least places which are open to the public. Schools are a little bit different. They're not actually open to the public. If you go there, you're going there through your choice. And I would guess agreeing to abide by their terms, which the government, they're agreeing to the government imposing on them.
No. Okay, basically the one thing that people need to understand, okay, we're talking about taking individual police officers to court, individual CEOs to court, individual directors, okay? Because equity acts in person, and it won't suffer wrong without a remedy. So whoever's giving the order, think back to Nuremberg, okay? This is prior to Nuremberg, okay, the king's head used to roll. And you said, oh, he told me. Nuremberg changed that. Nuremberg said, you have a conscience and you must follow your conscience, and that's called equity. That's what equity.
I think to add to that, Mark, to simplify that from Kate's perspective, as you say, we're actually serving the individual who's part of the organisation, who is owned by whoever that owner might be. It goes back to what Mark was saying there about your own personal conscience. So although I'll confirm with Mark that the paperwork can be simply adapted for you to actually use it, if someone's approaching you, you can react by saying, here's the paperwork, you're now going to follow this, what I've served you. The same applies to anybody, whether that is a school, a GP surgery. And the reason why I'm going to use GP surgeries and schools as an example is so are we suggesting then, and this is not directed at UK, this is directed in general, are we suggesting then that all school headmasters and all GPs are not guilty then? Because in my eyes, they are. So if I was a GP, I'd be making sure, and I said this 15 months ago, I wrote a thesis on, because I think most of you are aware of this, I wrote to everyone from day one. You know, back in January 2020, I wrote to every single person that I knew in a position of authority, whether that was a local council, MP, the British government, the NHS, my local doctor, dentist, candlestick maker. I wrote to them all, saying to them with a firm, assertive manner, I hope you realise your responsibility in your role. So, for example, with my doctor's surgery, I wrote to them and said, dear doctor, whoever, this is my take, this is my position. And if we use that as an example then, so if any single person around this table here was a GP, would you not be ringing your clients to see how they are during lockdown? Would you not be actually informing them on how they can build their immune system and how they can try to manage their stress as best as they possibly could? I don't know anyone that's had a doctor.
No, they just phone you up to double check that you don't want the vaccine.
Exactly right. So, and that is the same thing with the school. So if you are the headmaster of a school or you are a school teacher, you have your own responsibility using your own conscience to stand. So let's do this. If you are a teacher in a class of 30 children, your responsibility is to go to your headmaster and say, hang on, where is the risk assessment this school has made suggesting that all children should be wearing a mask, testing themselves or becoming vaccinated?
Yeah.
Yes,
What
Kim?
teacher in their right mind thinks that that's all right? That our kids are supposed to go to school and wear a mask all day whilst they're trying to learn when they've already missed a year of school? What teacher thinks that that's okay?
Yeah.
Because it's going back to the same principle of, I am a school teacher, I've got a job to do. I am a police officer, I have a job to do. My job is not to exercise my conscience and work out whether what I'm doing is right or wrong. The national curriculum says to me, and the national governors of school teachers say, this is what you will teach, this is how you will teach it. And by the way, we'll now teach people have to wear a mask. Just going to say goodbye to Roy. I'll catch you during the course of the week. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Take care, guys. Great to see things moving along wonderfully.
Good stuff. We'll talk to you in the week, Roy.
Yeah, take care.
Yeah, so again, I'm just going to go back to Kate, because obviously she's waving her hand, and let Kate come back in. I know that this is really important to Kate, because Kate is a school teacher, and although at this moment in time she's working as a supply teacher, Kate would love to get involved back in the schools to try and help and support people, because she also knows that vaccines, wearing masks, and you know, sort of having children sit in their little bubbles is not a good thing. So yeah, back to you, Kate.
Well, I just want to say, I wasn't putting my hands up, Kim, to say that I'm the sort of teacher that would, in my right mind, allow that. Okay, I mean, first of all, I mean, children, students in that, from what I've seen, are never expected to wear a mask all day. They wear them in the crowded spaces, the corridors and things like that. Once they're in the classrooms, they're off. But as for the teachers themselves, it's generally because the teachers aren't educated. They hear what the government policy is. I ask questions, why do you do this? And the standard answer is because it's government policy. And if I ask why, well, that's why I've been let go from 2 positions in my last 2 assignments, my last 2 teaching assignments, you know? So really what I need to learn is how to be able to educate, not just, well, this teachers, I mean, once was for educating students, the second time was for educating the teachers, but how to educate people without just instantly losing my position, you know?
I understand that, Kate, and I think that, and I'm going to bring Sam in at the moment, just before I bring you in, Ro. I'm sorry about this, Ro. You put your hand up 10 minutes ago. I think obviously we're talking about some subjects which are close to home now, but the same thing will always apply, Kate, won't it? Someone called me last week and said, Glyn, help. I mean, you guys probably get the same situation. I must work with at least 5 new people every day. Glyn, I can't cope. I'm stressed. I'm worried. Glyn, what's the future? Glyn, is Donald Trump going to get into power? Glyn, what? I'm just like going, look, and I always answer everybody. I work close to everybody and give them the answer. But someone also said to me, they said, look, this person needs, you don't stop laughing too much, Sam. I'm bringing you on in a minute. Someone said the other day, they said, I need to go and do this, but if I go and do that, I have to get tested. Glyn, what can you do? Now, you know, it's this responsibility part where I agree. We need to educate people, but we need to do this really quickly, guys, because we're 15 months into a position of whereby, you know, things, as we know, have escalated at a massive pace. Now, that's a separate conversation altogether, but yeah, I've been reading your notes put in there. Do you want to jump in at this point, Sam?
Yeah, I'll say something. My solution, I've done a lot of supply, and I decided to run my own courses employed by the county council, teaching health and well-being separate from the curriculum, and help set up a Steiner school. That was my solution. I couldn't bear it anymore. I was going in with a bell and a bag of salt and a CD with 741 hertz on it, you know, because the energy in the schools is wrong, the curriculum's wrong. I was elected for 7 years, and I went in on the educational committee and tried to change it that way. And again, I found that the officers were worse than the elected representatives in trying to block it, because they're there permanently. So the best thing to do is create your own. Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to do that, Sam. I mean, obviously, as you know, well, everyone here present, we're all trying to do what we can for a great number of people. But the least that each and every one of us can do is, Mark, going back to the law, what's the remedy? You know, the remedy also being the same as what Sam's done there, is to, well, I'll provide a solution. If I can't change what's happening en masse, the least I can do is actually go about doing something that I'm changing myself. Now, we'll have a conversation another day about our own soulful journeys. You know, I'm a great believer that we all interact with people around us, because they are the souls that either we are connecting with to get together on force, or maybe are the souls that we are trying to look after. I'm going to try and slightly change the subject, I think, here now, and bring Ro in, just in case he's talking about something else.
No, it's good. First of all, well done, and it was brilliant to hear all this brilliant information to empower us and to turn around this whole situation. It's very dark in here. I'm sorry about this. No, I haven't got a question, but I have got just an observation, just from my experience, that before before meetings of mine, when I've gone to Edinburgh or Inverness or wherever, I make a point of going to the police and saying, it's great to see you here because I feel safer that you're here to protect us from anybody that would wish to do us harm.
Excellent.
So that's what I've done, and I've had no problems from police, but I do feel that there is maybe a tide of change within the police and how they treat us rebels. But and we shouldn't be calling ourselves rebels. I was just off the top of my head. But yeah, if we all make a point of empowering or just making the police feel important, respect and sort of edify them to the point where it's respect to the point that they know that they're being respected by you. And then, well, if you do that before all your meetings, they're only human. They're less likely to want to do you harm in return. So it's something I learned in the 90s. I was in Amway in the 90s, and it was a guy said people have 4 letters on their forehead, MMFI, and it's make me feel important. So if you could do that to the police, then we stand a better chance of winning them over.
Yeah. I was looking down the bottom there, actually, just watching the constant body language coming from Becky, and I think she's probably got 4 other letters that she wanted to put on somebody's head there. But we're not going to allow her to say those in public, as this is a recording. Roy, you made a great point there, and I think that obviously I think most people who know me know that I'll always be not only try to be a calm, caring, and loving person, but I'm also incredibly assertive. But at the same time, I'll always give honest feedback. There's another lady actually, and she would have been joining us today. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you know Ali Menzies or Ali Mingi, as it's pronounced in Escosh. Is that she does exactly the same thing. And Ali goes to every meeting, and she goes out of her way to go and talk to every police officer that's there. And it's normally the community body that's there initially. But what she's basically doing is she's trying to educate them. She's saying, look, I don't normally get to talk to police officers, but I know you're wandering around here. So she'll go and talk to them and say, well, what's your thoughts on the pandemic? And what's your thoughts on mask wearing? And it's nice to see you here today, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The sad thing is, and this is where it goes back to the reality, which I know what Kim and Becky are thinking, which is, well, that's great, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. But it's still confirming and conforming on what we're saying all along, which is we know what you're up to, but we're letting you know that we're here and we're aware of it. And we're also letting you know, as Ro is saying there, that we are peaceful. You know, we've not approached the police to say, you know, what the hell are you doing here? Get out of here. You know, as Ro says, hey, you know, glad you guys are here. You know, he should have finished it off by saying, I'm glad you guys are here in case any other cops come here, because I might need you to arrest them if they start getting too aggressive and don't understand the law. But guys, I think we need to try and bring this meeting to a bit of a conclusion. Probably it's going to take about 4 hours to upload it. Has anybody got a particular pressing question? I mean, I want to thank everybody today for not only joining us, but for, you know, sort of sharing, as Ro said, you know, we've shared some great truths. And the one thing I've loved about COVID-19 is I've never met so many lovely people and made so many new friends. But if anyone's got a pressing question that they want answering today, ask it. You know, put your hand up. But put your hand up and I'll answer, because Mark just ignores you if you do that. And then we'll upload this one and then have further meetings. Is there anything that anyone needs a specific answer to today? Fantastic. So let's call it a day. If anybody wants to stay over now, you know, Mark will actually stop the recording. But if anybody wants to have a general chat, you know, people can stay behind and talk in general if they wish. But I think that Kim just wanted to ask one last question before you stop the recording, please, Mark.
Just looking for it. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Just quickly, are the videos that you told us to watch, are they already up?
We're getting them up at the moment. They should be up by the morning.
Excellent.
And also my presentations, a few people have said they can't read so fast. So I'm actually in the process of slowing them down.
Oh, bless
let me
you.
just.
Oh, by the way, I don't actually read them. Okay, I've just got them up at slides with some music that I like, and so you can pause them as you go through them. And Jan's got to go through and put them into proper English for me. But they're good enough to get the message, and it supports the paperwork and the videos Glyn and I have been doing. Literally, you will be able to follow the paperwork through with the videos, with the presentations. And if you've got, I suggest, middle of next week, people meet again, so that we can, the more knowledge you have, the more confidence you have. It's as simple as that.
Just one last thing to add to that, Mark, and it's more for people who's probably going to be watching this as a recording afterwards. We'll just tell you the order of things that we did, and then suggest an order for you to actually watch them in. So the first 3 videos we did, which was around about 2 weeks ago, were called The Law. I wouldn't bother with those initially. The 3 that followed that were called, How to Take It to Them. You don't need to bother with those either. So the first 6, I'd leave those and use those as catch up later.
Yeah.
So the 6 videos that Mark recorded, we did 4 yesterday and 2 today. They're all called Equity Part 1 to Part 6. So I suggest everybody watches Equity Part 1 to Part 6. When we upload those later today, underneath it we'll put links to Mark's other website. And if you go to that other website, which we'll put the links to, there's 2 things on there. Mark has actually listed in one area what's called notice. So if you actually look on the notice, there's 3 PowerPoint presentations explaining how the cease and desist notice works. And then to the right of that, you will see something that says COVID-19. If you click on that, that's all the actual paperwork that you can print off to serve it. And if anyone has, and I'm not just saying this to the people present, if anyone throughout the world, the universe, doesn't have a printer, then just drop me a message. And we've just actually got together and bought a laser printer, so I'm quite happy to print off the 30, 60 pages, whatever you need, and pop them in the post to you. So any further questions?
Yeah, just
if you'd like to
add. Sorry, Glenn, if I butt in. You can serve them by hand. You can serve them by post. You can serve them by email. And all of these, there's multiple ways, but try and be selective who you serve, because at the end of the day, the objective is if we have one successful court case, that'll affect 100 people. If one policeman is prosecuted for unlawful arrest, for breach of a peace, for kidnap, 100 police will change their behavior. So that's what it's about. And also, I'll be serving the chief constables by email, but Glyn doesn't know this. I actually want them served hard copies as well. Please don't serve MPs, okay, because the remedy actually lies with the MPs, because they're going to be paying the bill for this whole law. Going back to a law from 1512 called the Parliamentary Privilege Act. And that basically says they've got to compensate the people treble the damages. So that's the National Debt Wipe Act. So
can I just ask one final question before you turn the recording off?
Yeah.
Please, miss, can I go for a wee-wee?
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed it. Bye. Okay, so
you can just turn the record off, Mark, and then we can chat afterwards.
Hold on. I'm not an expert. No, stop.